Hello and welcome. Thank you for being here with me today and listening to my podcast. This is Susan Lopresti. For those of you who are new here for the first time, I just want to introduce myself and let you know what it is that I do. I am a holistic health coach, Reiki, meditation, and breathwork practitioner. Soon, I'm going to be adding yoga for seniors as part of my new work, as I'm in the process of getting certified as an instructor for yoga for seniors. I believe that good health is more than just the food on your plate, and by incorporating several healing modalities into your life, you will begin to notice positive changes in how you sleep, how you feel when you wake up in the morning, how you get through the day, and how you enjoy your downtime as well. I help women in their 50s and older to regain their vitality and enthusiasm for life. Age is just a number. What matters most is how you feel, regardless of your age. When you feel great, you will look great. And that is my goal that I have for my clients. I believe it's important that we should be aware of and be proactive in health. That's one of the things that I always felt and always believed in for many, many years already is to be proactive. Don't wait until you get sick to decide that you want to get healthy. You should want to maintain good health while you have it. And I always say this, and I will continue to say this, knowledge is power. And if we know the things that people are prone to get, these chronic conditions that creep up on us when we're getting older, if we're aware of them and we know how we can prevent them, then we can take the steps that are necessary to prevent these illnesses. This famous quote is often attributed to Hippocrates. Let food be thy medicine. Let medicine be thy food. And one of his quotes is, all disease begins in the gut. He also believed in natural healing and the natural healing process of rest, a good diet, fresh air, and cleanliness. He's also been noted to say that walking is man's best medicine. Today, I want to talk to you about a topic of gut health that is very important to me, and that is celiac disease. And like I said earlier, Hippocrates himself said that all disease begins in the gut. So I would like to share my own story with you. And it began in my mid-40s. I had terrible gut issues. Every morning when I woke up, I would have a very flat stomach. I always had a flat stomach. I never had belly fat or bloating, but over the course of the day, I would get very gassy. And by the end of the day, by the time I got home from a day's work, I looked like I was 4 months pregnant. And I used to look at myself in the mirror and say, I wonder what's going on. Like, why am I like this? Why am I so gassy? I couldn't put my finger on it. I wasn't having regular bowel movements. I was gaining weight. I was extremely exhausted. I developed migraine headaches, and I would get vertigo also from time to time. My body was extremely inflamed with pain from literally the top of my head to the bottom of my feet. I had frozen shoulder. All of my joints hurt, especially my knees when I had to walk upstairs because I was also carrying around so much extra weight. So climbing stairs and putting that extra weight on my knees was really stressing out my knees something terribly. And I was never making any of the connections to any of this. I had insomnia, I had night sweats, hot flashes, heart palpitations, and I had anxiety for the very first time in my life. I would wake up in the morning, I had tingling in my arms and in my hands. I would reach for a coffee mug and it would fall out of my hands because I had no feeling in my hands, but yet I had muscle pain. I was seeing doctors who were continuing to tell me that for a woman of my age, with my busy lifestyle, trying to maintain a work life balance will cause any woman to become exhausted. I was being told it was perfectly normal to be feeling all of these symptoms. It's what comes along with age, is what I was being told. But honestly, in my mind, I believe that women in their 40s should not be considered old. And a woman in her 40s should have beautiful, perfect health. And I knew that at that time, my mom was only in her early 60s, and she did not have the symptoms that I was having. And I kept looking at her saying, well, if she doesn't feel like that in her 60s, how is it okay for someone in their 40s to just accept it as my new reality? I always took good care of myself. So why was I deteriorating? Or at least it felt that way. I decided I was not going to live out the rest of my life feeling like crap, and I was going to get back my health. As I began doing some research, I kept reading that many diseases begin in the gut. And I already quoted Hippocrates as him saying it as well. I really didn't understand that concept. So I started digging further into research on this, and what I was learning was astounding and so eye-opening. I was reading a lot about gut health and in particular celiac disease. And I began to realize that I had many of the symptoms of gut issues that I had read about in these articles. Gut issues, here are the most typical of symptoms that you may get: anemia, dental and bone disorders. Now, that one was for me. And let me tell you, that happened when I was 7 or 8 years old. I lost my baby molar teeth, and my adult molars never grew in. And my dentist said, oh, I never saw that before. But he never looked into why that could possibly be. And my parents just accepted it as it's perfectly fine and not abnormal. And so that was the first indication that I had celiac disease, but it was totally ignored. Mouth sores, I've never gotten those. Skin rashes, yes. Tingling in legs and feet and arms, yes for me. Bloating, constipation, diarrhea, gas, muscle cramps, yes on all of those. As these symptoms are associated with celiac disease or wheat allergies, when I found out that I had celiac disease, I had no idea what it was really all about. Basically, it's an immune reaction to eating gluten. And gluten is a protein that is found in wheat, barley, and rye. It's responsible for the elastic texture of the dough, and it's almost the glue, hence gluten, because it helps the wheat to stick together. If you eat anything that is gluten-free, you may notice that that food breaks apart easily, where when it contains gluten, it has more of a stretch of an elastic and just softer, and I think also more volume to the dough as well. Over time, the immune reaction to eating gluten creates inflammation that damages the small intestines and the lining, leading to medical complications. The classic symptom for celiac disease is diarrhea. I really didn't have too much of that, but the other symptoms, including bloating, gas, fatigue, low blood count, which is anemia, and also osteoporosis. For me, like I mentioned earlier, I had gas, I had bloating, I had fatigue, I had brain fog. I also have osteopenia, which is the beginning stages of osteoporosis. Celiac disease also prevents absorption of nutrients, so you have malabsorption. You may have heard of the term leaky gut, and basically what is happening is if your intestinal barrier is impaired, it may be letting toxins into your bloodstream. So if you've been eating gluten and you haven't really made the connection, you're compromising the lining of your intestines and it begins to create holes. And when there's permeability within the intestinal lining, these toxins are now going right into your bloodstream. And that's when you begin to really have symptoms that are exacerbated. The only treatment for celiac disease is a strict gluten free diet that can help manage symptoms and promote intestinal healing. I started cooking for myself and I stopped eating out. I read all labels and I eliminated all gluten products from my diet and also my life. Think about beauty products and personal care products. Many of these products contain gluten. There's also gluten hidden in a lot of condiments. So you have to get in the habit of reading labels. It was a drastic transition for me and it was not without side effects. In addition to eliminating gluten, I also eliminated caffeine, sugar, dairy, and red meat. I ate very little poultry, hardly none at all, but I did continue to eat fish such as wild caught salmon and tuna. Caffeine and sugar are two things that are as addictive as any drug. And when you completely detox from both of them together, cold turkey, well, let me tell you, it's a hell of a ride. But I figured I might as well just bite the bullet, as they say, and go all in. I had a good 2.5 weeks of major uncomfortability while detoxing from sugar and caffeine. And within that time frame, none of the other symptoms that I had were going away either. Basically, what I did was I added to my already uncomfortable feelings by detoxing from sugar and caffeine. But I was so determined to feel better and I knew that changes in my diet was one of the ways that I would certainly begin to heal, and so I persevered. I had an awesome functional medicine doctor who also put me on supplements to aid with healing my gut and getting my body back into balance. I was taking a probiotic, which I still do, by the way, but I began taking a probiotic, a digestive enzyme, and magnesium to start. And then we added in berberine because I had very high cholesterol levels. They were actually through the roof. So berberine, along with exercise, will help to lower your cholesterol more naturally. So it took about 6 months to completely 100% be back to my old self. And this is what happened to me when I stopped eating gluten. I dropped weight easily. I was getting a better night's sleep by sleeping all through the night and having a deeper quality of sleep. My migraines disappeared. I no longer had gas and I no longer had bloating. I didn't look like I was 4 months pregnant anymore. My mood swings disappeared, and so did my hot flashes. My brain fog cleared up. I was thinking clearer and more focused, and I was not as forgetful and confused as I was. I was calmer. I had more energy to do the things like take a walk or work out. I started taking yoga classes again, and my mood shifted even more. I was more positive. I was more hopeful than I had been for a very long time. How many of you listening with me today have had any of those symptoms or struggle with them regularly? If so, I am happy to talk with you about it. Schedule some time with me by phone. I offer a 30-minute free health assessment with no obligation to go any further. I just feel so strongly about helping women to get back on track to good health. That's what my mission is all about. It makes me sad when I see someone in midlife that looks so much older because they're struggling with health challenges and they're overweight, so their mobility is impaired. And they just accept whatever has come their way as their fate. I don't feel that we have to do that. Our bodies have the ability to heal, but they cannot heal on their own. We need to advocate for our body and be providing all the nourishment, movement, and emotional healing to move us from being with dis-ease back to good health. 12 years later, I am better than I was in my 40s in terms of my health. Am I always 100% gluten free? Truth be told, no. Hey, I'm human. And sometimes, if I'm out to dinner and I see something that looks delicious and I know that it contains gluten, but I don't want to pass it up, I try it. Luckily for me, I don't get immediate symptoms when I eat gluten. So it's not like I'm going to have bread and I'll run into the ladies' room and have diarrhea. Luckily, that is not me. For me, it's when I continue to eat gluten and it builds up in my body. That's when I start to develop symptoms. And I do know a lot of people who get sick immediately. So for those folks, I don't think that cheating is an option, but I have to keep in the back of my mind that if I continue to eat gluten, what are the long-term effects that are happening to me? And that's what makes me go back and abstain from eating gluten. So there you have another little piece of my own personal story. If you feel that you may have a sensitivity to gluten or have gut issues in general, please feel free to reach out to me and take advantage of that 30-minute free health assessment. Until the next time, thank you so much for spending your valuable time with me. I only hope that I am adding value to your wellness journey. Until we meet again, be well, stay happy, stay positive, and bye for now.